Let's take a look at transforming your objects in this video. So you have your select tool over here, your move, rotate, and scale. The hotkeys for that are Q, W, E, and R. And you can select your object with any of these tools. So if I go to the move right now and select my objects, you can see that my move manipulator is showing. The one peculiar thing about your manipulators is XYZ is RGB, so your XYZ object, XYZ axis is color-coded RGB, which is red, green, and blue, as you can see over here. Max is a Z upfold by default. So to move an object right now, I simply select and move, select and move. You can also move on two axes by going over here, so constraining it to only two axes. Right now I'm moving it on the Z and Y plane, or I can also move it on the X and Y plane right here. Same thing with rotate. XYZ is RGB, so I can select and move, or if I go to the center over here, I'm moving on all three, or I'm rotating on all three. So I'm sorry, I said move earlier. So select and rotate, select and rotate, select and rotate. And again, if you go in the center, select and rotate. And this disc around over here would also rotate on all three, but from a line of sight, from the point of view of the camera to the center of an object. So still selects and rotates on all three, but more like a roll. Then you have your scale. You can scale from the center. You can scale right here. And you can scale this way. So non-uniform scale. Scale on two axes right here. You can see at the bottom it's only scaling on two. X and Y and Z in this case. And this one is only scaling on Z, more like a squash. Then you also have another thing with these manipulators. You can take the size of the manipulators up and down by pressing the plus and the minus button. You can also right click on these guys. So if I right click on the move or the rotate and the scale, gives you something called a transform type in, which is a nice way of doing some precise values over here. So if I just go and say move at 50 units in Y, that's your absolute world move. And now if I say add 5 units to that, and there you go, that's 55. So it's also available for your rotate right there and scale. So you just simply right click. Another thing you can do is, let's say if I right click over here, I can right click on anything in Max, pretty much any spinner, and it goes to 0. So if this was somewhere over here, and if I wanted to get back to 0, 0, 0, simply right click, and right click. One more thing is coordinate system. So right now I'm on the view coordinate system. The reference coordinate system is on view. If I simply rotate this object, let's say right about there, and if I go to view, if I go to my move tool, you can see it's still, the reference coordinate system is still at view, but if I go to local right now, it goes local to the object.